What's poppin', everybody? This is Ray Rawlins from the Ray Rawlins Network, where we talk cartoons and we're practically doing it daily. I'm joined by Alex Payne, and we're continuing this Halloween marathon, the 31 days of cartoons, with The Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror #2, Season 3, Episode 7, I believe it is. Um, I suppose, as usual, before we get into first impressions, thoughts, and reviews and whatnot, we're gonna give you guys an episode breakdown. Now, I'm gonna be a broken record saying this, but every Simpsons episode, of course, has three parts. Or Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, rather, has three stories in them. And these stories centered around the kids and even Homer having nightmares after eating too much Halloween candy. So, the first story centered around a monkey's paw, which was purchased by Homer. And this was Lisa's nightmare right here. And basically, the whole thing with this monkey's paw is you can make wishes with it, but each one has grave consequences, as Homeboy said at the shop. Okay, that's the first story. Second story is Bart. It was his nightmare, where he has practically all the power in the world. He can turn people into strange creatures and whatnot. He can basically manipulate the world to how he sees fit. Everybody has to abide by his rule and whatnot. And basically, the number one way to make things right is to spend time with Homer, and that's how he starts going in the right direction. Okay, that's number two. And the final story is, and I think I like this one the best, personally. Mr. Burns, this is in Homer's nightmare. This Mr. Burns wants to create a working robot, right? That will basically be a workaholic because all his employees, of course, Homer, Lenny, Carl, all of them are lazy as shit. They don't want to do no work. So this robot is supposed to be, this big working machine, do everything that Mr. Burns wants in a worker. And in order to fulfill this, he needs a human brain, which happens to be Homer's, right? That's the third episode. Or the third portion of the episode. So let's get into first impressions. I gotta say, this right here, this episode was another one that I watched a lot when I was a kid. Big fan of The Simpsons. I kind of see why I'm not no more. this really wasn't a good episode, man. I feel bad. I gotta diss The Simpsons. That was a diss towards The Simpsons, man. That was my show, man. That was my show. But they had a motherfucking take this diss right here, man. They finna have to take this L with this review. I'm sorry.
They had to take this L and carry it.
Yeah, I want to give them some credit though as well. This is their second Halloween episode. Their second Halloween episode, and of course, it's probably done back in the 90s. I mean,
because
they're kind of adjusting to it.
No, because that's my opinion.
Well, let's give your first impressions first.
My first impressions was, because the episode started off as the same one day with Marge, I think is the name, because I'm not really a big fan of The Simpsons, but I'm correct on that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She talking about how the last time we told you not to let your children watch it. Well, this one is gonna be even more scary, and I was like, that's definitely not true. Like, none of these stories were anything close to
right.
Like, none of them were made to be scary. Unless that's like a joke they were trying to make, but
right.
So that's my first impression. Is like for they build it up as scary, but none of these stories you can, and that's not even like you're an adult, or you're just not easily scared. Like, nothing about these stories you could say is scary.
I don't know. I'll argue that.
Children.
I'll even argue that.
What?
The first and the last story, the whole Frankenstein one in a sense, and the whole monkey paw one, you may argue could be scary to children. I mean,
he just made a wish. He
wished for money. Had bad consequences.
Yeah, it's not like he wished for a kitten and it turned into a growling monster that ate his face. It's just like they wished for fame and
perhaps maybe the second one could be too. Like, I will say this, it was obviously like you even said it yourself because I was definitely gonna say it. we're adults, so we're not gonna be getting scared by this, obviously. And I can't. I wasn't scared by any of these episodes when I was a kid either.
Because that's what I'm saying.
But
I don't think these have like. I honestly feel like they maybe was trying to go for the joke that, oh, these ones are gonna be even more scary. Except they're not gonna be scary at all.
right.
But I don't
Yeah,
know.
and I honestly think, if you ask me, I think the first Treehouse of Horror, may have been scarier than this one.
Well, at least it had more. And this is why I'm going back. And this is what I was gonna say when you was talking about giving them credit about it. I wouldn't, because obviously the point of this whole thing, at least from what the first episode portrayed, was to, parody scary movies, tropes, and all that other shit. So this one should be full of terrifying stories because they only even tapped into 3 so far. This
Right,
episode is what you do like 6 in when you're starting to run out of ideas.
right,
Not as the
right,
second
right.
one. So that's what I'm saying. Like, why I don't give them credit for that, because, like, realistically, now if this was like, parodied, Halloween and The Exorcist and insert other horror movie here, and it was done terribly, then I could be like, okay, yeah, it's only the second one, so they're still trying to figure it out. But like,
Right, right,
the
right,
ideas they chose are like the ideas you choose when you're running out of ideas.
right. And you are correct. You are 100% correct. Um, let's go on to moments. Like, is there any moment in this episode that you enjoyed?
I didn't. I'll say this: I didn't um unenjoy any moments, but I think the moment that made me laugh was in the last story when they was dragging Homer's
Oh
body, and
yeah.
it was making the sound. It was like, and the old guy hit the body with the shovel, and was like, "Bad corp, you're scaring Mr. Crothers," I think his name was. But yeah, that was funny.
Mr. Smithers. That's how you
Mr.
know you're not a
Smithers.
Simpsons fan. Yep.
Yeah,
The old dude's
Mr.
Mr.
Smithers.
Burns. But
But
yeah, I mean,
but yeah, that
I
was
want to
funny to me.
say, one of the moments that had me like chuckling a little bit, was when Bart had made the whole wish to make the cat more interesting. It's just out of nowhere. I feel like the second story really took to Bart's character too, because he just likes to cause mischief and shit. And he made the cat be able to breathe fire, and the cat just motherfucking set the curtains on fire and shit. I'm like, oh shit! Like, whoa, that cat's shooting fire out his mouth.
Yeah,
Shit. I think that
I
was
think
another good
this.
one.
I think each of them would have been. I feel like the third one is the only one you could maybe even argue is a little bit
Yeah.
scary, but it not even.
Right.
I wouldn't
Right.
even say that because it was done in a very non-scary way. Like
Right.
it had the atmosphere of something that isn't supposed to, like, that's supposed to be a parody of something that's scary instead of something that actually is scary. If that makes any
Right. Right.
sense. But
No. I see what you're saying.
but I think all of these could have been episodes on their own, and in a normal middle of the season in August, and it wouldn't have really been anything different.
Hmm. That's
Especially the first
interesting.
two. I think the last one is the only one you could argue is somewhat Halloweenish.
That's interesting. I mean, I would kind of agree with that, because I see what they're getting. All those stories have like supernatural feels to them, with the whole monkey's paw and the whole Bart having these powers to make, turn people into these creatures, and have the world bend to his will.
Yeah, but see, that's
So
the thing, though.
they,
I would say saying that's, horror is like saying Naruto is horror because they have superpowers in there. Like,
I mean, I see what you're trying, the whole point you're trying to make, but it's supernatural. It's like supernatural. It's like the whole. I guess you could go on the whole like sci-fi thing. Like that's. I associate the whole thing with having like the whole power of making wishes and shit, and the whole thing with the monkey's paw. The monkey's paw, especially, I say could go to the effect of that maybe
I
Halloween.
see
It's
that as
definitely a stretch.
genie. I see that as a genius.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But the fact that it could have negative consequences too, I really want to say that's a play on something. I just can't remember what.
But not even that good though, because like the negative consequences are so like I said, if like he wished for a cat and the cat like ripped his face apart or something like that, then I feel like even that you could argue it's not Halloweenish. But I don't know. I feel like it
Right.
just was like because even regular genies they say, like all your wishes have bad consequences, find them and all that other shit. So I don't know. I don't really see that one, you know. And like I said, the second one he just had like telekinetic powers. That's I don't really because you know, like I said, that's just like pretty much any other superhero or supervillain show in a
Okay.
sense.
All right. Let's get into final reviews. What are your thoughts?
Um, I see. I mean, even though, well, I guess I didn't technically talk shit on this episode. I just was saying that it wasn't Halloweenish. I thought the episode was all right. I think it was above average, but not very high above average. So I'm gonna give it I'm between a 6 and a 6.5. I think I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a 6.5. I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's great because I was just gonna give it the same thing too. Like you said, it's not Halloweeny, and I kind of agree with you on that.
If we're judging it off of
Like
that,
I
I'll
said,
give
we
it a
could.
3. If we're judging it
Right,
on how
right. But
Halloween
I
it
say
is, I'll give it
you
a
can
2
make.
actually.
I still think you can make a little bit of an argument, like, oh man, these could perhaps be Halloween episodes if they had time to stretch it out a little bit longer, and they would do more horrifying shit, obviously. But I don't know. I really want to compare it to the first episode, but I honestly do think the first episode was way better than this. You think it was better? The first episode we did, the first Treehouse of Horror?
No, I don't think so at all. I think this one
No,
was better than
really?
the first one. Yeah, I think it was because I feel like this one, as except for the first one, because I feel like the first one kind of just ended. But like
Mm-hmm.
the other two stories were more complete. I feel like than the first one were. The first ones they were just stuff happened and now it's over. Where I would say
Right.
these ones were more. And plus, I would say the whole we're going into their dream idea is more clever than the I'm just telling you a story idea.
Right.
And it
Right.
was
Right.
yeah. So I think as a overall episode and how they did the stories, I think this one was better than the first one.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can agree. I guess I can agree with that. I don't know. I have to sit down and really think about it more. But I'm gonna have to go with you on this one. I'll give it a nice even 6 on this one. Like it wasn't the best episode. I mean, I do want to give them the benefit of doubt, like you said. This is their second Treehouse of Horror. And I'm reviewing it like, oh yeah, they didn't do 25 other ones after this, but they were just getting started up on this whole idea. So I'll say yeah, I'll give it a nice 6. It's not bad, but it's all right. It's all right. It's decent. So,
Hmm.
with that all being said, we will continue this Halloween marathon, the 31 days of cartoons, tomorrow on the Ray Rawlins Network. My name is Ray Rawlins, the CEO of this joint, and his name is Alex Payne. This is where we talk cartoons and we practically do it daily. We will see you when we see you. Peace.